Continuing our conversations here from this year's Mackinac Policy Conference at the Grand Hotel. A conversation now with the president of Eastern Market, Dan Carmody. Dan,
good morning, sir.
Great to see you again.
It's good to see you.
You and I have had a couple of conversations recently about things that have been going on at the market.
Yeah.
I've told you before, it is one of my very favorite things about Detroit, and I'm so not unusual in that sense.
No.
Everybody that you talk to, I think, feels very invested in the place.
12 years I've had the great fortune of working at a place that is beloved by many. So it's truly a blessing to be shouldered some of the responsibility of making sure that Eastern Market survives and keeps its soul intact as things change. And my new line
Yes.
My new line is that we're 128 years old and we didn't get that way by not changing.
Well, in fact, I quoted you on Flashpoint a couple weeks ago because your great line to me was, people come up and tell you two things, which are?
Don't change a thing, just make it better.
Exactly, which is kind of some would say is a fool's errand.
No.
But you have become, I think now, very central to this conversation about how Detroit keeps its soul, the things that we all love about Detroit, while at the same time grows at the pace that it currently is.
Yeah, and I think that's doable. It's not going to be easy. We actually saw this problem coming about 3 years ago because we looked around and we saw, one could say that Eastern Market has not changed much over the last 50 years because of the failure of Detroit commercial real estate. Because if you look around over that last same 50 years, all of our peers around the country disappeared as those neighborhoods became bars and boutiques and lofts, and the food part of it scattered.
Yeah.
And so we looked around in 2015 and said, that wave is finally getting to Detroit. It's going to be coming at us.
Yep.
And it is, and it has.
Yep.
And so the strategic plan that we developed that we're quite proud of, that inspired the city, this summer they'll be announcing a master plan that basically takes that strategic plan and sort of builds out what we do. We haven't stopped. We've been doing it while we talk about how we do it. It's two principal items. One is all those other places around the country did not have the significant amount of vacant land that we have to the north and to the east of Eastern Market. Mm-hmm. So our first priority the last 3 years has been trying to find sites to keep the larger, more established food companies that are currently in the Eastern Market District who need to expand, but they're landlocked.
Yeah.
Wolverine Packing Company just finished construction of a 140,000 square foot facility that will enable them to add 75 new employees on an 8-acre site.
Yep.
And we have 4 more companies behind them. Together, that's about 500,000 square feet of new food processing and production space and about 350 to 450 jobs.
It is weird that in a place so close to downtown, you actually have room to expand that way.
It's not easy.
But it's not, and it's only going to get harder.
And the reason we're unique is that we're near that heart of the city, and most food districts have leapfrogged because food businesses can't pay the same per square foot that other types of businesses, particularly mixed-use developers of condos, can.
Yeah.
And so when we think about gentrification of Eastern Market, our first priority is how do we retain, through all this change, 120 years, we're still 3 things we were in 1891. We're a place about food.
Yep.
We're a place where small businesses get started, particularly by people who have limited means. And we're a place where everybody, regardless of where they come from in their life, are welcome.
Yeah.
If we can maintain those 3 core values,
you'll be doing okay.
We'll be Eastern Market. Despite what we look like.
And I think we all love the individual character of all of the places. There is notably no Pizza Hut, no Starbucks. But how often do those kind of places approach you?
We do have a McDonald's and we do have a Chase Bank, so we're not without national chains. So
I guess, okay, the McDonald's is a little further.
At the edge of the district.
But it's at the edge, yes.
So this week Eastern Market changed its name to the public. We have Eastern Market Corporation, which is a 501c3 that manages the market on behalf of the city. Mm-hmm. It formed a real estate development subsidiary called Eastern Market Development Corporation to begin to interact with for-profit developers to make sure we keep our soul.
Yep.
And together we're going to be called the Eastern Market Partnership for 2 reasons. One is it's easier to refer to one entity rather than 2. And secondly, none of the work we're trying to do to grow the food system, to keep Eastern Market soul what it is something we can do alone. We can only do it in partnership with other people.
Yeah.
And we want to model being a good partner, and we want to make sure other people learn how to be good partners if they're challenged by that concept.
Well, let's talk about the current test tube case. You don't have to look very hard on social media to find the
Right.
vilification of the Nelsons,
Right.
Lyndon and his son Sanford. And I'm curious about just what you tell people about watching this dust up that has now got Russell Street Deli, which is, I think
Russell
a lot
Street-
of people feel is foundational to Eastern Market, and it's leaving.
So Russell Street Deli is a key contributor. And there are a core group of businesses I would call dancing with who brung you, that
Yes.
these are core businesses that we need to figure out a way to sustain, even if they're not able to afford the sudden surge in pricing from rents. So that's one of the principles that we identify in a Eastern Market real estate development protocol that we released earlier this week. And two sets of protocols, one for food businesses, one for non-food businesses, real estate developers. And in those protocol are 16 criteria that we are going to judge developments by, whether we will give our support as an organization to that project or not.
Yeah.
One of those is setting aside space. We're asking developers to figure out how to set aside as much as 10% of their space in new projects to be held at more reasonable, affordable rents to do one of three things. One is keep long-time businesses that are part of our fabric.
Current, yep.
Two is, and probably more important than even that, is keeping a mix of businesses that allows for the sale of everyday goods and services to low and moderate income residents of the neighborhoods that live around Eastern Market. And three, the arts has become an important part of the Eastern Market. So artists or arts, nonprofit arts organizations, how do we find low-cost space for them to occupy? So we don't have dictatorial control. We rely upon those at public agencies like the city, the state, or other sources of either regulatory approvals or incentives that developers need to do their projects. They typically will look to us and say, "What do you think?" And we have to be organized here, and this is a service to the developers too. 16 criteria that you should think about not after you've planned your project, but as you begin planning your project.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it contrasts a little bit with a community benefits agreement process, which kind of comes in towards the end.
Yep.
And the developer's already, got 90. He's got it financed. He's got, you can only change it so much. We think that the criteria that we've given people that will help us defend our soul, we're not expecting everyone to hit on all 16, but we are expecting them to hit on enough that they get to a score, yet to be determined how we score them. But if you don't have a plan on how to relocate a commercial or retail tenant, we're not going to support your project. And so I think a lot of the dust up with the Russell Street Deli project had been, if there had been a written tenant relocation plan, a lot of this could have been avoided. And so,
How much of a loss is it for the market?
Well, we haven't necessarily conceded the loss of Russell Street Deli. We are working with them. We're on a short list of spaces that they're looking to.
When we had them on Flashpoint a couple weeks ago,
Right.
they sounded one foot out the door.
We have a letter of intent. They haven't executed it yet. There's a space in the market where they could combine both the retail facility and their wholesale facility,
wholesale
which
thing,
we
right.
think would give them a much better, stronger business overall. So
Okay.
they may not. It's probably going to be a little more expensive for them to build that space out than some others they might be able to find. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll keep them, but I do go to bed comfortably knowing we've done everything we can do to keep them in Eastern Market.
Well, I always feel better talking about you because and it's appropriate that we're up here at this conference talking about this because it really is one of Michigan's real treasures.
Right.
And when you talk about keeping its soul, I think that's what people love about the place, and that's always encouraging.
The true opportunity is to have a thriving local food district in the heart of the city. Is that for the first time in a long time, small and medium businesses are competing very nicely against big food.
Yeah, yeah.
And so no other city that I know of, certainly in North America, has the opportunity to have something like Eastern Market the next 128 years because they've already lost theirs.
That's right.
And we won't get the next 128 years unless we work real hard at it. But I think the strategy's in place for us to get there if we all work together.
President of Eastern Market, Dan Carmody, thanks for the conversation, Dan.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah.